is the Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister of Fiji, and he joins us now. Minister, thank you so much for being with us. Let me kick off with the 32% tariff rate that was floated by the Trump administration on April 2nd. Obviously, we've seen a pause on that level, but where do you stand in terms of when the 90 days are up? Do you expect that tariff to come back into play?
Well, thank you for having me. Yes, the 32% tariff, especially for small Pacific Island countries, was unexpected. We obviously expect, and we've started negotiations already with the U.S., and we are hoping that before the 90 days, the 32% tariff will be brought down, will be negotiated, because that's going to have a very, very significant impact on Pacific Island countries' attempt to diversify and to close the trade gap that many of them have.
What's on the table in terms of those negotiations, what you can bring to the table to get the Trump administration to back down on that 32%?
Well, obviously, we need to understand that the trade surplus that Fiji had with the U.S. was very, very small. So we hope that trade deficit is not equated to tariff. We also understand that the difference between trade in goods and trade in services. So Fiji is prepared. As I said, the discussions are ongoing, and we expect some relief and some understanding and perhaps an agreement that both Fiji and the Pacific Island countries and the United States could live with.
Minister, Fiji has had a long-held policy of becoming Bollywood, Hollywood of the South Seas, trying to attract foreign films. How do you feel about the pushback now from Trump about foreign-made films and whether they deserve a big tax if that production does occur offshore in beautiful places like Fiji?
Well, we do provide a very generous, tax incentive for those who want to make films in Fiji. So we are a little unsure why the tariff on foreign films and how that's going to affect countries which provide tax incentives for films made in those countries. So we're still assessing that. There's an element of uncertainty as to how that's going to be applied. But certainly that will also be part of our negotiations with the U.S.
The threat to services seems twofold because tourism also a big part of the Fiji economy. In fact, a lot of friends and family of the years travelling to the beautiful island to see it. What happens from here if we do see consumer confidence start to weaken because of the tariff threat? Is that a real obstacle, as you see it, in the coming quarters?
Well, that's correct. We are obviously worried about the uncertainty, and if this uncertainty globally translates into an economic slowdown, particularly in countries such as the US, Australia, New Zealand, from where we source most of our tourists, then obviously that can have an impact, and the transmission mechanisms that work through remittances, tourism, could have a significant impact on Fiji, and we saw that during the global financial crisis. We were a bit cushioned because Australia and New Zealand economies did well. So that is something that is on our minds, and we will be assessing very carefully as to what the impact is. But right now, our tourism numbers are very good. We had a 5.7% growth last year, and we expect things to remain like that, if not decline marginally.
Minister, you're a set of islands and a country which is rich in natural resources of all kinds, whether it be timber, whether it be copper, gold, fish, etc., as well. I don't really know what you can buy more of American goods in order to satiate the administration and balance the trade picture as well. But that's a question for you. What can you buy from America actually in greater amounts that would actually satiate the administration?
Well, we already buy some of the capital goods, particularly those related to our aircrafts. In fact, we we look at machines, etc. But I think what we are saying is Fiji has had a very small trade surplus with the United States, and one of the major exports to the US is our Fiji water. We don't expect the export of other commodities such as kava, turmeric to suffer any significant impact, because we believe the elasticity of demand is kind of inelastic. But there are areas where we could look at how we can compare ourselves with the imports from other countries and that from the US. But the important thing to understand is that the US still has a large surplus in the export of services, and that has to be taken into consideration, and I'm sure during the negotiations that will be brought out as well.
So I was just looking back, and there was a commitment in the middle of last year, August last year. Fiji and China reaffirmed commitment to strengthen bilateral relations. Given this level of, dare I say, aggressive policy making from the United States, and the fact that you're being welcomed with open arms by other huge geopolitical players, is it likely that actually more economic activity will be directed away from the United States and towards countries such as China?
Well, let me say this very clearly, that we value our partnership with the United States. We've had a very strong relationship, over so many years, and we don't expect that to change. But we also have a very good relationship, development relationship with other countries, including China. And so we don't expect shifts in terms of our trade policies, our foreign policy. However, we feel that the global uncertainty and the trade diversion that would take place may lead to Fiji benefiting in terms of cheaper imports from China or other countries as well. But these are uncertainties that are still there. These we'll have to see how it plays out in the next 4 to 6 months before there is a reassessment of our trading imperatives and our relationships with other countries.
Minister, let me ask you about climate change. With the US stepping away from the Paris Accord, a series of domestic decisions that favour fossil fuels in the United States, how worried are you about global warming and the lack of coordination internationally on climate change when you're such a low-lying area in Fiji?
Well, let me say this very clearly. The climate change threat for Fiji and many of the Pacific Island countries is not about the future. It is our lived reality now, and we have been calling for urgent action, particularly in the area of climate finance. There's been some progress in the new collective quantified finance goal. There's been some progress on the loss and damage funds, but we are calling for a differentiated approach to the Pacific, to small island states in terms of the availability of climate finance and the change in the international financial architecture to support the small island states and those in the Pacific like Fiji, where the cost, the damage of already extreme weather patterns, frequent disasters, and all as a result of climate change that is occurring now. So it is our lived reality, and one that we need to address urgently, and that is why we are calling for a deeper, more meaningful and differentiated approach to support the small island states in the Pacific through appropriate climate finance.
Sir, thank you very much indeed for joining us and sharing this perspective of Fiji regarding the impact of tariffs we're seeing around the world. Thank you, sir. Biman Prasad, who is Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister of Fiji. Well, let's get out to an Annetta, I can barely wait. I understand that the vote has now closed. Of course, the Chancellor-to-be needs 316 votes to get a majority, or at least 316 votes, in the 630-seat chamber. We're going to get the results in literally in the next couple of minutes, aren't we?
We're getting the results in roughly 20 minutes. Currently, the counting is ongoing. The head of the parliament, the president of parliament, Julia Klöckner, has just closed the session for the counting of the votes. So what can we expect? We, of course, expect that Friedrich Merz will be